All right. Hello, everybody. My name is Aniruddha. I am from Pune, and today we will be talking about what's coming to Unity. That is one of the reasons I started my session with a video. There's not going to be any videos in the presentation. This is going to be somewhat technical. I want to say this is more of a showcase of what's coming to Unity in the future. Instead of focusing on what has happened uh, in the past few years, how Unity has come here, we want to bring you the best version of Unity that we've made till date, which is going to be Unity 6. I know there's going to be a lot of questions you have around Unity 6 and what is the runtime fees, how we are positioning Unity 6, why Unity 6 is a big deal. If time allows, at the end of this presentation, we can go through those questions. But let me preface by saying that even if we can't cover the Q&A right here on stage, I'll be around for you guys to connect with me, and I'll try to answer your questions the best way I can. So, about me, my name is Aniruddha. I'm a senior partner engineer at Unity. I've been with Unity about close to 5 years now. I work largely in the Asia Pacific region, supporting Unity's enterprise customers, providing premium support, and also engaging with the community on any opportunity I get. Both of these pictures that you're seeing right now are from IGDC. The middle picture is actually before the runtime fee, when I had a lot less gray hair. So before we begin, this is a safe harbor statement that I just want to put out there. This is just a legal statement explaining that please do your homework before you choose your tech for the game that you're making or the production you're taking. Whatever you're seeing is something that we are working on, something that we are bringing to Unity 6. But like I said, this technology is coming in the future later this year. So with that out of the way, let's actually get into Unity 6. So what is Unity 6? Unity 6 was formerly known as Unity 23 LTS. We are moving to the old school versioning system, and we are proud to announce Unity 6, which is the next major version of the engine. It's coming in 2024, and it's coming packed with a bunch of critical developments that we are excited for you to get your hands on. This is the culmination of the entire last year's worth of development. And why are we returning to the numbered versioning system instead of the annual or year number in the version? So ultimately, this is a change that was driven by user feedback from people like you. And we believe that it provides greater clarity, it provides more transparency and flexibility on our product updates, and just frankly, it's much, much less confusing to say Unity 6.1, 6.2 than 2022.2.3 or whatever like that. What is Unity 6 about? So it is about these 6 things. These are more or less the focuses or foci of Unity 6. Our commitment is always to put your needs at the forefront of everything that we do. So with Unity 6, we are focused on boosting rendering performance. We are focused on enabling your project to look the best on every device, from the lowest end to the highest end. And we want to make every pixel the prettiest with our new lighting technology. With our new multiplayer stack, you can create and launch and scale multiplayer games much more easily with Unity's own tools. Our cross-platform AI runtime opens up new worlds of possibilities. There is a lot of features that we are bringing to AI, and I know it's a little bit controversial, or some people have opinions about it. I myself have opinions about AI, but at the same time, I can't deny that what we are bringing with Unity AI is pretty exciting, and we are looking at it from a practicality and usability standpoint than just randomly throwing AI in every function that we can put it into. And of course, we are always enriching our platform support. We are making continual productivity and quality of life improvements across the Unity engine and the Unity editor. So this new release name thing, I want to focus a little bit on. What would have been called Unity 2023.4 would have been the LTS release, is now called Unity 6. What is out today is Unity 6 Preview, which would have otherwise been named Unity 2023.3. You can test out most of the stuff that I'm about to show you today by downloading Unity 6 Preview. Unity 6 Preview can be downloaded through the Unity Hub. It comes with a bunch of new features that I'm about to show today, and you can still provide feedback. How? This portal. So there is a portal that is relatively less known. If you go to unity.com/roadmap, you can actually look at what we are working on, and you can vote on it. We do take user feedback into consideration. If there is a feature that you want to see, you can even submit a feature request. If there is a feature that you are pretty excited about, you can vote for it to be, focused on more from our side. Or if there is a feature that you don't like, you can submit your feedback that way. That maybe this is not the best priority for somebody like me right now. Right? So please make sure to visit this page. It's unity.com/roadmap. You can provide feedback and you can view our roadmap updates for pretty much everything that we're working on over there. And lastly, before I get into the main meat of the presentation, there's one more portal that I want to highlight. It's resources.unity.com. There's going to be a bunch of useful stuff for everybody here. That includes beginners, that includes artists, technical artists, programmers, game architects, designers, everybody. So it includes webinars, it includes ebooks, it includes blog articles, and much, much more. So please make sure to visit this portal. This is completely free. You just need to provide your email, and you get a bunch of stuff in PDF form or video form right there. So let's actually start talking about Unity 6. So we are bringing back the clarity of our original pre-2017, 2016 releases, similar to how we used to do 5.6, 5.7, 4.2, so. We are focused on rendering improvements, platform enhancements, XR experiences, and multiplayer. Today, I'm not going to be talking so much about the XR experiences, and because the time that I have is relatively short, I will be rushing through the multiplayer bits, but we are definitely going to talk about the rendering improvements and the XR experiences. So the first thing that I want to talk about is there are some improvements to the editor. There is now a new camera overlay. You can take the camera and take the first person control of the cameras and manage cameras in the scene view itself. We have new light placement tools, and you have also the UI toolkit windows that are added to 2023.2. These are all already available in Unity 6 preview. There is a helper bar which is aiding better navigation around the Unity editor. This is something you can go to the preferences and enable. This is not something that is just enabled by default for you. You can, if you want to check it out and if you find it useful, you can go to the Unity preferences and enable that. And we have enabled shortcut key bindings to things like the mouse scroll wheel. We have added the ability to bind a shortcut to the stats button and creating a transition between different animator states. So you can trigger all these things by a keyboard shortcut now. So these are some of the improvements. There are obviously a lot more. In the profiling section, we've added a number of things. So we've enabled several settings across the profiler and frame debugger that you can have a better understanding of what you're seeing on the screen. We've added things like stage, scope, and dynamic information to keywords of the frame debugger. We have enabled viewing individual meshes in a scriptable render pipeline batch inside the mesh preview for the mesh debugger. Now you can enable the seeing of the original and used shaders for an event in the frame debugger. Like this is particularly useful when you're using fallback shaders. There is now the possibility to see IL2CPP C# line numbers that has been recently added. And lastly, there is a new color checker tool which is meant for artists to actually compare or calibrate their colors, and this tool is only going to be used in the editor. This is not something you have to worry about getting pushed into the build for your game. So this is a production tool that you can find in the rendering option. On the asset store, we have added the verified solutions. There is a bunch of verified solutions through the new verified solutions program, which is essentially a library of third-party assets and solutions that Unity ourselves curate. right? This is something you can check out right now. We are always looking for new PSPs candidates to join this program. Is my voice audible? I can sense myself dropping. It's all good? Okay, thank you. And there is a new splines package. You can now store personalized data on spline objects. Additionally, the interface for editing points in the Unity inspector for splines has been enhanced. And certain APIs have been made available to the public. When you work on splines, now you can use the new scene view context menu for splines. On the visual scripting front, we've added a few new features such as some confirmation dialogues, such as support for parameter renaming in code for code used by APIs. And we also added support for nodes whose type cannot be found to be temporarily converted into placeholder nodes. So you can wait until their original node is defined again, or you can replace them and they still will be a part of your thing without breaking anything. Going forward. For artists, we have a lot of new features on the rendering side with shader graph, VFX graph, and lighting. And these, I think, are one of the most exciting developments that I want to share today. So shader graph gets a bunch of new features. You have things like dynamic shader reloading, which provides you with additional user control over shader loading behavior and memory usage. So this optimization enables the streaming of shader data chunks into memory and evicts shader data that is no longer needed at runtime. This is based on a user-controlled memory budget. So you can assign memory, and Unity will basically dynamically load or unload shaders based on the memory budget that you have assigned. This significantly reduces shader memory usage on platforms which have limited memory budgets, especially when using the new shader variant loading settings. This was originally launched in 2023.1, but this is backported to Unity 2021 LTS. So this is not just something that's coming to Unity 6. This is something that you can take advantage of even if you are on Unity 21 right now or Unity 22 LTS right now. And also another optimization that we can have to the workflow is we've added shader system variant keyword filtering. So what that does is it's the early exclusion of the multi-compile keywords based on pre-filtering attributes driven by render pipeline settings. So this greatly reduces the amount of variants being enumerated for potential stripping, compilation, and it significantly shrinks the shader processing time for both clean and warm project build. So even if you're doing a fresh build, it will do it faster, and if it's already built a couple of times, you're going to see much faster build times for this. And there is also a blog post about this if you look it up on the Unity blog. On the shader graph side, shader graph now will support Unity GUI. So UGUI is now supported. It has sub-targets for both URP and HDRP. Also, little known fact, shader graph now does support built-in render pipeline for those who don't know. So if you are trying to build new shaders for built-in render pipeline, you don't have to go through the hassle of writing CG shaders. You can, in fact, write surface shaders with shader graph. So coming back to this though, now UGUI support for shader graph means that UI artists can create custom shaders for their UI elements using shader graph. This gives non-programming people the freedom to define sort of the overall look and style of UI elements, create animated UI effects, and define custom button states. And all of this is going to use much less texture memory because that is all being handled by shader graph in the background. Also, on the HDRP side, shader graphs decals are now compatible with HDRP and even transparent objects. So this means you can use decals created with shader graph to affect transparent objects to build procedural effects like raindrops or window stains or things like custom engravings or etching effects on glass. So this wasn't directly possible, but now shader graph natively supports support for transparent object decals. And also we have added a new shader graph output for physically based sky and added controls to create a moon from shader graph. So you can create pretty exciting space-like games with that. This is something that gets talked about a lot. We have introduced the new Lightbaker 1.0 backend for manual lighting bakes, which makes baking more predictable and stable. Manual bake no longer will restart if you change the scene during baking. So the editor is more responsive during baking. If you bake with the GPU backend, uh, you can use a baking profile now to create the to select the trade-off between performance and good GPU memory usage. We have a new light baking architecture. Light bake global illumination is now using our new light baker, and when baking the GPU backend is on demand, you can use the baking profile in the lighting window to select the trade-off between the GPU and memory usage. The GPU light mapper that some of you may have used is now out of preview, and it allows for much faster baking of light maps and probes as compared to the CPU light mapper. This baking backend will help with the iteration speed of baking into your projects, especially when you have large scenes and a large number of probes or a higher resolution of light map textures. So I highly recommend using the GPU light mapper if you haven't tried it already, because it was in preview. And also we have interactive GIS related scene view debug raw modes. So you can actually see additional information in the scene view about the global animation much more interactively. On the VFX graph side, we have a new output to modify the volumetric fog from HDRP. So that means you can have a VFX graph that affects the volumetric fob that you've been using in HDRP. We have fixed the 6-way lighting and light map remapping options. We have a new volumetric fog output, and this new output in VFX graph will allow you to inject particles into HDRP's volumetrics. You can generate smoke, you can generate clouds, mist, fire effects, and you can make the fog more dynamic and more procedural. It also comes with blend modes similar to the ones in Photoshop. You have some modes like add, multiply, min, max, and overlay to blend the volumetric output result into the volumetric fog from HDRP. And also VFX graph now comes with a bunch of templates and a wizard, which you can use to use as a starting point for creating your own effects. Each of these templates has a description, and it also has an image to describe its behavior, so that you can easily choose the one that fits your needs best. Going forward to the universal render pipeline. So I want to first call out the new sample project that comes with Unity 6. Unity 6 has a brand new URP sample project in which there are actually 4 different samples. And this is a cohesive project that you can use to switch between those samples in the same scene, right? They are a huge upgrade from the basic construction scene that used to be a part of the URP sample. And they are meant to demonstrate a lot of new URP features across a variety of platforms. The first one that I can talk about is the garden. So it uses physically based rendering shaders to build an environment targeting something like an iPhone 6 or Nintendo Switch, all the way up to the latest consoles or the latest PC GPUs. The OSS uses VFX graph in URP. It uses highly detailed assets and speed tree to convey photorealism on devices that support compute shaders. So we are looking at high quality URP output on higher end PCs, consoles, or even some of the new iPhone or iPad devices. The cockpit uses custom lighting in shader graph to do stylized efficient rendering, and this is more targeted towards XR or VR headsets, something like the Quest 2 or something like an AR app. And lastly, the terminal, which sort of ties all these scenes together in a museum-like fashion. So when you open the project, you will be put into the terminal, and from that terminal, you just open the door and you get into one of these projects. It's pretty fun. It's extremely powerful, and it's a great demonstration. I highly encourage everybody who's using Unity to try this one out. Coming to the features of Universal Render Pipeline, URP now has support for TAA. So temporal anti-aliasing is a spatial multi-frame anti-aliasing technique that basically gives you much better smoothing. What it does is it looks at the previous and next frame and then just basically blends the aliasing artifacts into a lot more smoother and visibly pleasing lines, right? So now we have added support for temporal anti-aliasing in URP, which is available from the camera anti-aliasing settings. It uses 16-bit floats for optimized performance, which is an upgrade over the built-in render pipeline. You couldn't get TA this good in the built-in render pipeline. And it also supports motion vectors to reduce aliasing problems like pixelation and flickering edges that are common with TA. So you can see the GIF on the right of how this works in practice, right? You can see that the flickering is noticeably low and the scene progression or the movement of the objects is much, much more smoother. We also have fast approximate anti-aliasing or FXAA that is now improved in the latest version of URP. And it's a cheap trade-off from TA when you want quick anti-aliasing on something like a lower-end device. It should now provide quality similar to the subpixel morphological SMAA anti-aliasing preset while still having better performance. Now URP also supports high dynamic range output, which means it has a wider color gamut and greater luminosity range than the standard definition content. And the HDR display devices are capable of reproducing images closer to natural lighting conditions. So you can actually have HDRP-like visuals built with URP with high dynamic range support like that. Then we also have added object motion blur to universal render pipeline. This works across moving objects as well as VFX graph particles because VFX graph particles will generate motion vectors and they will be taken into consideration with TA as well. URP also has support for better soft shadows and it adds a smoother filtering on the shadow maps which gives you smooth edges on your shadows. There is also quality property under the soft shadows property in the URP asset, which lets you select the quality of soft shadows that you process, and you can improve your performance or improve the quality of the shadows. And by default, all lights will use this quality setting from the URP asset. Then lastly, it's the full release of the latest forward plus rendering mode for universal render pipeline. So there is now support for XR devices and foveated rendering as well as cameras that use orthographic projection. We have also added cluster reflection probe support, which enables the use of more than 2 reflection probes per object, which allows Unity to skip per object culling of lights and reflection probes and enables things like the dots powered entities, graphics, and procedural draws to make use of reflection probes. So basically, what all of that meant was you're going to see much better reflections with the forward plus renderer than you were seeing in the universal render pipeline. One of the features that is coming to both universal render pipeline and HDRP is adaptive probe volumes. So a probe volume is a group of light probes that Unity places automatically based on the geometry density in your scene to create baked indirect lighting. And with 2023.1, adaptive probe volumes were out of preview and they were added to universal render pipeline as well. When used with universal render pipeline, they do not currently support the light scenario blending and they may not be optimized for performance yet, especially when you're running on lower end devices. So while this is great for real-time lighting scenarios, I would recommend that you try this out only on a more modern device. Then something that's coming in Unity 6, and it's something you can check out in the Unity 6 preview, is a new GPU resident drawers. And this basically, what it does is it optimizes the way the data is sent from CPU and being processed on the CPU, and a lot of the data that rests on the GPU is used more efficiently. So it optimizes CPU time in such a way that you can see up to 50% increase in the way your frames are processed. one thing to note about this is that this is only supported on modern graphics API. So OpenGL and GLES are explicitly not supported. So you will need to use something like Vulkan for this to work. Then the next part is spatio-temporal post-processing. So this is a state-of-the-art frame upscaler that boosts runtime performance and enhances image consistency. And this is like a game changer for rendering quality. This is essentially an upscaler similar to what DLSS or AMD's FSR is, right? This filter performs temporal anti-aliasing as a part of the upscaling process, so enabling will override the TA that you have, and it's designed to be cross-platform. It supports PC, console, and compute-capable mobile devices. Note that I'm saying compute-capable mobile devices, so that means you can expect this to run on more modern flagship class mobile phones, but this is something that requires a compute-enabled device, so you will need a powerful GPU for this. And lastly, render graph is a high-level representation of the pipeline's frame and render passes, explicitly stating how the render passes use those resources. So this is more of a tool for profiling and debugging, and it's meant to be used by technical artists to inspect the render pipeline for any SRP. This is available for both Universal Render Pipeline and HDRP. Coming to high definition render pipeline, this is where the eye candy is. We have improved the temporal anti-aliasing quality. So we've added two new properties. There is a post-sharpening process, and there is a contrast adaptive sharpening based on AMD fidelity effects, which provides the mixed ability to sharpen and optionally scale an image with an algorithm that adjusts the amount of sharpening per pixel to target to like an even level of sharpness across the image. So you can use this alongside any upscaling to make HDRP output more performant while still looking really, really good. We have something called the high quality line renderer. So this is used to improve the quality of line topology, things like hair and fur and grass blades or wires and really thin lines that you will render, and you can have better quality lines. So right now over there you are seeing the hardware render for as it is. With the high quality line renderer, it improves so much. I'm just going to switch back and show you the difference. So this is the difference between the high quality line renderer and the traditional hardware rendered for. So you can have much more natural and softer looking effects for line kind of geometry. Then we have a few improvements to the way transparency is rendered. One thing that I mentioned earlier was the way decals are now added to transparency, and we have more ways of handling transparency better, especially when there are transparent objects stacked one next to the other. One more thing that we have is volumetrics and sky. Now HDRP now has support for volumetric clouds, both that you can artistically direct and also render procedurally in the background. It also directly blends into the volumetric fog, so you can see that the volumetric cloud will have a shadow or a sunbeam based on the way it is occluding the main directional sunlight. The next is the water system. This is really, really exciting for me. Personally, I love the way these demos are structured. So you can have, HDRP water now that has an underwater volumetric fog that has dynamic simulations with water, and you can also use the spline tools that I mentioned earlier to craft things like rivers and streams or waterfalls and things like that. It even comes with things like a water deformer and a foam generator for you to create even large-scale water effects like oceans. Then with HDRP in Unity 6, all ray tracing features are out of preview. So you can use HDRP 6 and Unity 6 with HDRP 17 to author ray traced experiences. The same goes for path tracing as well. This is not a real-time application, but this is something you can use in order to create a high-quality video output from Unity for, say, things like animation, cutscenes, cinematics, using the same in-game assets that you currently use. And there's a lot more. There is path tracer support for decals. There's a lot of small improvements across the board for both HDRP and URP. Quickly, I want to go through Unity AI. I won't take more than 5 minutes of your time from now. Unity AI is a new suite of tools that we are introducing at this point. We have something called Unity Centis, which is essentially the possibility or the ability to use a pre-trained AI model, export it to the Onyx format, and run that as a part of your game. So what that does is it lets you essentially run a neural network inside of your game locally without having to reach out to a cloud platform or without having to put in APIs to access some sort of external service. So you can just train a very straightforward AI model for something like NPC behavior, something like pathfinding or navigation, and then you can include that in your game to run locally on the device. And this is available across all the platforms that Unity supports. So there is a lot of improvement coming to Centis still. Uh, we are uh, we are focusing on this year to be leveraging neural processing units on upcoming hardware to speed up the model inference and offloading work from the CPU to the GPU. And we want to make it easier to interpret your AI model in code by adding also a graph editor. So this is all coming later on this year for Unity scientists. Unity Muse Chat is something that we have already published. All of this, I just want to highlight, that is available as a Unity Muse subscription separately from Unity. But the best part is one subscription will give you all these tools directly. You don't have to pay for all these AI tools separately. One Muse subscription includes all of this. And Centis, by the way, is completely free. Centis is not, you don't require any subscription to use Unity Centis that way. Unity Muse Chat is the chatbot powered by a large language model on the backend, which is trained on Unity documentation and forums. So you can very quickly ask questions to the Unity chatbot, which is Muse Chat, about how to make a certain game, and it will give you step-by-step directions or instructions on how you can do that. And you can ask doubts, you can put in some error messages that you see, and it will be able to guide you through most of that. Something pretty exciting for prototyping programmers is that you are now able to create Unity enabled Unity compatible textures and materials right into the editor with Unity Muse texture and sprite. So you just put in a prompt about what kind of material or texture you want, and it will generate some images which are PBR compliant, and you can just directly start using them in your project. So you can see how they look in the GIF here. There is a material that was created with Muse sprite or Muse texture, and it's being applied to the HDRP or URP sample project. Then there is Unity Muse behavior. So this is something that's coming in the future. This is something that lets you program behavior using natural language as opposed to just writing code. We've learned through our beta program that it's important to further improve responsibly sourced models. So we're making sure that the outputs you get are not going to run you into any copyright related issues. And then lastly, there is Muse Animate, which also lets you create procedural animations with text prompts. So if you have a model that is rigged for animation, you can just start trying out Unity Muse Animate to create just create animations for a walk cycle or a jump animation or an attack animation or an idle animation by just entering a text prompt and describing the animation. Next, I want to very quickly talk about multiplayer. Multiplayer is something that has been receiving a lot of love from Unity for the past year or so, and that has culminated into the release of Megacity Metro. So Megacity Metro is a project that's available for you to download and test out right now. It is a DOTS powered large-scale demonstration of more than 64 players that you can download, and it's essentially an end-to-end demonstration of how Unity's new multiplayer stack works, and it is. I welcome everybody to check it out. If you just search for Megacity Metro on Google, or if you go to that link over there, github.com/unitechnology/Megacity Metro, then you can just download and run the project yourself. Uh, and last couple of things that I want to talk about is this is something important to a lot of people. We get questions around this a lot. We have added support for web GPU, which is the next exciting thing in web-based gaming. So we have introduced a new backend called web GPU, which is a significant milestone for web-based graphic acceleration, and it is largely being considered the future of WebGL. So all the current WebGL and HTML5 platforms still gets all the love, but we are also looking forward with for mobile web integration with WebGPU. So I know this was a little fast, but I'll be happy to take any questions even outside. And thank you so much. You can find my email here. And if you have any questions, I'll be happy to take them now. It doesn't have to be about the presentation. You can ask me about anything. I expect if there is somebody who wants to have a small explanation on the runtime fees, I'll be happy to do that as well. Any questions? All right. I don't think there's any questions.
No questions.
All right. Thank you so much.
No questions? Cool. Thanks, Aniruddha. But Aniruddha is around. I'm trying to tell you, he's one of those guys that's always available 24/7. You can always ping him for any help. And he's really willing to help the community out.
Happy to help, man. Yeah. Thanks so much.